If you look at a map, the world's largest island is controlled by one of the smallest countries on Earth. Greenland is massive, yet it belongs to Denmark, a nation whose landmass can fit inside it 50 times over. This chart shows the scale of that mismatch. While Denmark holds roughly 6 million people, Greenland is home to just 57,000 residents. Despite this tiny population and enormous geographical footprint, Copenhagen makes every major decision for the island. Defense, foreign policy, and international trade are all entirely managed by the Danish government. This arrangement places a microstate in control of a continent-sized territory, creating a highly unstable geopolitical target as global powers aggressively secure territory. People often dismiss that target as an empty wasteland, but there is a sharp divide between the massive interior ice sheet and the thousands of miles of habitable, rocky, and highly strategic coastline. Compare that severe frontier to the location where it is actually governed. The Danish capital is a dense, highly developed European hub sitting almost 2,000 miles away. Bridging that gap is a logistical nightmare. Projecting military or political authority from an office in Northern Europe across the freezing Arctic Ocean is nearly impossible during a crisis. Rival nations are aware of this distance. They see a resource-rich landmass nominally owned by an absentee landlord, making it a primary objective for modern superpowers. Denmark did not acquire Greenland through military conquest. The island was originally tied to Norway until a political merger in the 1380s united the Scandinavian crowns. Greenland arrived as part of that union. Centuries later, in 1814, that union collapsed. Treaties dismantled the empire, handing Norway to Swedish control. But during the chaos, Danish diplomats quietly held on to the overseas territories. Denmark simply kept it.
That clerical oversight paid off. By 1946, the United States recognized the island's value and offered Denmark $100 million in gold to buy it outright. The Danes refused. A 19th-century bureaucratic technicality accidentally granted a small nation a lucrative modern empire that global powers are now desperate to acquire. The United States did not offer $100 million for the scenery. The landmass sits directly on top of the physical assets that drive the modern global economy. Beneath the permafrost, Greenland holds the world's largest undeveloped deposits of rare earth minerals, the exact elements required for smartphones and advanced weapon systems. Beyond minerals, geological surveys estimate that billions of barrels of untapped oil remain locked offshore in the freezing environment. Then there is the geography itself. The island sits exactly between North America, Europe, and Russia, controlling the planet's most critical Arctic naval paths. Today, Copenhagen effectively manages the physical landmass where global industrial supply chains and Arctic military strategy now converge. That reality has triggered a renewed push from Washington. Recent presidential administrations have openly discussed purchasing the island, viewing it as a mandatory strategic acquisition. At the same time, Russia is expanding its military footprint across the Arctic, deploying specialized troops and rebuilding Cold War-era bases along the region's borders. This places Copenhagen in a diplomatic trap. They must appease American allies who want control, while attempting to deter a hostile Russian force stationed in their backyard. A state of 6 million people lacks the budget and the manpower to defend a continent-sized border against two heavily armed global titans. But the final pressure point is not coming from Washington or Moscow. The 57,000 citizens of Greenland are actively demanding full independence from Denmark. Breaking free from Danish subsidies requires immediate capital. To secure that money, an independent Greenland would need to sign massive mining and defense contracts with foreign powers, which invites the US and Russia right back onto their shores. The 1814 historical loophole that gave Denmark control is finally failing. The external demand for resources and the internal demand for sovereignty are pushing the arrangement to its breaking point. Ancient treaties and clerical errors no longer matter. Raw geography, military ambition, and a relentless hunger for resources will ultimately decide who commands the Arctic.